Today, we're going to dive into a pretty wild story. It's about how a university student, who then became a Buddhist monk and then a circus performer, ended up creating one of the world's most popular apps for finding a little bit of calm in our totally chaotic lives. Yep, this is the story of Headspace. Okay, let's just start with a question. Have you ever had one of those nights you're lying in bed, you are completely exhausted, but your mind is just running a marathon? I know I have. You try to relax, but it feels like the harder you try, the more the thoughts just keep piling on. You know, the founder of Headspace, a guy named Andy Puddicombe, he described this feeling perfectly. He said his mind felt like a washing machine that was just permanently stuck on the spin cycle. Just this relentless, noisy churn of thoughts and worries. And I think pretty much everyone can relate to that feeling. So, what does a young sports science student do when he's dealing with all this inner turmoil? Well, Andy made a decision that sounds like it was pulled straight out of a movie script. He decided he was just going to leave everything behind. I mean, just take a second to look at this journey, because it's really something. At 22, he drops out of university to become a Buddhist monk in Asia. He then spends a full decade in monasteries, learning all these ancient meditation techniques. And then, at 32, in a twist I don't think anyone saw coming, he leaves to join the circus. Yes, you heard me right, the circus. We will definitely come back to that in a minute. So you can imagine when Andy explained his plan, his university advisor suggested he see a doctor for some Prozac. But Andy's reply really gets to the very heart of this entire story. He wasn't trying to numb himself or run away from his feelings. He was on a quest to understand them, to understand the very nature of his own mind. And it was during those 10 years of training that he had this profound revelation. One that completely flips our whole modern idea of meditation right on its head. So this is the crucial point right here. Most of us, when we think about meditation, we think it's a battle. We sit down, we try to force our minds to be empty, and then we get frustrated when thoughts inevitably pop up. But what Andy learned is that meditation isn't about stopping your thoughts at all. It's about changing your relationship to them, learning to simply see them without getting all caught up and without judgment. One of his teachers shared this really beautiful analogy with him. He said the mind is like a vast blue sky, and our thoughts and our feelings, they're just clouds. Sometimes they're light and fluffy, other times they're dark and stormy. But no matter how cloudy it gets, that clear blue sky is always there, unchanged, just behind them. Meditation is learning how to rest in that blue sky. And that right there, that's where the name Headspace comes from. It's not an empty space. It's that ever-present sense of underlying calm, that blue sky, that you can connect with no matter what emotional weather is passing through. It's the feeling of knowing that, fundamentally, you are okay. Okay, so let's get back to it. You've spent a decade as a fully ordained Buddhist monk. You've found this profound sense of inner peace. So what's the next logical career step? You pause, you reflect, and then, obviously, you run away and join the circus. It sounds completely bizarre, but it turned out to be the perfect real-world classroom for everything he had learned. He actually enrolled in a circus arts degree in London, where he learned skills like juggling and walking a tightrope, and he discovered something fascinating. These skills required this incredible, delicate balance, not of rigid control, but of a perfect harmony between intense, unwavering focus and total relaxation. And that became his ultimate metaphor. If you grip the tightrope too hard, if you're too tense, you're gonna make a mistake. But if your focus wanders, if you have too little effort, you'll fall. Andy realized that life itself is that high wire act. We can't control the wind, but we can learn to adjust our balance. Mindfulness is the skill that lets us walk that wire with both focus and ease. So armed with this unique blend of ancient wisdom and this surprising real-world experience, Andy returned to the UK with a new mission: to demystify meditation and make it accessible to absolutely everyone. He saw that meditation was so often wrapped up in mystery or complicated jargon. He wanted to strip all of that away and present it for what it is: a simple, practical training for the mind. He wanted to make a daily meditation practice as routine and essential as brushing your teeth, just a simple act of mental hygiene. And here's the amazing part. Modern science is now proving what these ancient traditions have known for centuries. We're talking about tangible physical changes. Brain scans show that regular meditation can actually change the structure of your brain. That's a concept called neuroplasticity. It can physically thicken the parts of your brain linked to focus and happiness and help reduce the intensity of negative emotions. It's literally a workout for your mind. So how do you actually start? The beauty of the Headspace approach is just how simple it is. It's not about hours and hours of silent sitting. It's a complete training that begins with just a few minutes a day. The training itself builds in 3 really simple stages. First is the approach, which is exactly what we've been talking about, understanding the mind and that blue sky without judging it. Then comes the practice, which is the actual 10-minute daily session. And finally, integration, which is all about taking this newfound awareness off the meditation cushion and into your everyday life. And this is the key. It all starts with just 10 minutes. 10 minutes a day to sit, to check in with yourself, and to simply practice observing your own mind. That's it. That is the foundation that can begin to change your entire perspective. Ultimately, the goal isn't to create a perfectly calm, wave-free ocean in our minds. Let's be real, that's impossible. Life will always have its waves of stress, difficulty, and joy. The practice of mindfulness isn't about stopping those waves. It's about learning how to surf. And that skill, well, that just might change everything.